Hi everybody, Mr. Briz here. So what we're going to be doing in this lesson is we're going to be talking about proportionality. So we've got all of these points here, and basically we're just going to be doing more work with ratios. So the first thing that we need to know is the proportionality theorem for triangles. So if we know that this line that goes through this triangle DE, if that is parallel to one of the sides, in this case BC, then we know that the ratio of AD over DB must be the same thing as AE over EC. So for example, if I were to call DB x and AD is 2x, if EC is y, then that means that AE must also be 2y. So that's what this theorem is telling us. So I know it says activity, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve the first one, and then I will let you try the second one. So in this case, for part A, what we're going to do is we're going to take these two, the 3 and the x, and we're going to make that into a fraction. And then we're going to take the second ones, 6 and 8, and we're also going to put that into a fraction. Now we have to be careful when we set this up, because if you notice, 8 and x are part of the small triangle that's on the right side. So that means then that we need 8 and x to both be on the same side of their fractions. So in this case, I put them on the top for both fractions. And then in the other case, 6 and 3 are part of the short segments in the picture, and so therefore they must be together on the bottom for both fractions as well. Now that we've done that, we just need to cross multiply, and then we can solve this. So we're going to get 6x equals 24, and if we divide both by 6, we see that x has to be 4. So what I want you to do then is pause the video, try doing part B, and then once you are done, start up the video again, and I will demonstrate how to solve it. Okay, now that you have given that a shot, I am going to demonstrate it for you. So what I'm noticing here is that we had one missing part. We didn't know the length of DB yet. However, we did know that the entire length was going to be 8, and we also had the 2 here. So if we subtract, then that had to be 6. Now what we can do is we can set up our two fractions. I'm going to have 2 over 6 is equal to 3 over x. And then we just need to solve this. Cross multiplying gives us 2x equals 18. If we divide both of these by 2, then we know that x will be 9. Okay, you're not going to see so many questions with this though, but this is something that happens as well. The converse of the proportionality theorem is just saying then that if we know that we have these two ratios and they are equal to each other, then that forces line DE, or in this case segment DE I suppose, that forces that to be parallel then to BC. Now here's another one for us. If we have 3 parallel lines, and I'm not exactly sure why we have that right there, that's not necessary for our proof. But anyway, for the others, if we have 3 parallel lines here, and then 2 transversals that are going through them, so here's the first one, here's the second one, then that means that AB and BC, so if I said BC is x, AB is 2x, that must have the same ratio as MN and NP. So if NP is y, MN has to be 2y. So kind of like what we just did in the last example, you're going to need to set up ratios. Go ahead, pause the video, and try this, and when you are done, then start up the video again, and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, now that you have given that a shot, what we need to do is we're going to set up our two fractions, as I said, 6 over 3 minus x equals, and then we're going to have 8 over x over 2. We need to cross multiply. If we do 6 times x over 2, we know that that's going to become 3x because 6 divided by 2 would be 3. Then the 8 times the 3 minus x, we're going to get 24 minus 8x. Then we can add 8x to both sides, and this is not going to divide nicely for us because we're going to get 11x equals 24. And one thing I noticed when I did the homework assignment before this is that a lot of our questions that I assigned will not divide evenly either. Just leave this as a fraction, then x equals 24 over 11. Okay, then we have proportionality with, proportionality with an angle bisector. So in this case then, if we have an angle bisector, in this case AD is bisecting BAC, then that's going to create this ratio here, AB over AC is equal to DB over DC. So in that case, I'm going to say we've got, let's call this one X, let's call this one Y, and let's say, actually, you know what, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say that this is X and 3X, and then if this one is Y, then that one has to be 3y, because what we will get then in this picture is x over 3x equals y over 3y. And we can see that with both of those, that's going to simplify to become 1/3 is equal to 1/3. So that's just what this theorem is telling us. All right, in this question then, we are told that AD is a angle bisector, and then we know AB is 18, AC is 15, and BC is 22, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to find BD. So we know then that this side and this side are supposed to pair together according to the theorem that we had before, and then we are supposed to, I'm going to use triangles here, BD and DC are supposed to go together as a fraction as well. So I'm going to start with the 18 over 15. But then it appears as though we don't have enough information because we're given the 22, but we're not told anything else. In that case, what we need to do is we need to just pick some value for one of them, and then we can put in a value for the other. Now, we can't just pick a number, but we can put in a variable that will represent any number that we're not sure of yet. I'm going to choose to let DC be x. Therefore, BD must be 22 minus x. And now we have enough information to set up our second fraction. 22 minus x over x. When we cross multiply, we get 18x equals, and then, let's see, I'm not fully sure of 15 times 22. That's 330 minus 15x. We add 15x to both sides, we're going to get 33x equals 330. And then we can see that x is going to be 10. And actually, I'm sorry, that's not what we're supposed to be solving, because we're supposed to be finding BD. Now that we have x is equal to 10, well, we just have to do 22 minus 10 to get BD. And BD is going to be equal to 12. Now in this question, go ahead and solve for x on your own. Pause the video. When you are done, I will solve it then. Okay, for this question then, we know that 6 and 5x minus 12 are supposed to pair together. And then we're supposed to have 8 with 3x. We cross multiply, we're going to get 18x equals 40x minus, and let's see, I can do this, 96. We need to subtract 40x from both sides. we're going to get 22x, negative 22x, I should say, equals negative 96. And these are not going to divide evenly, unfortunately. Whoops. So then negative 96 divided by negative 22. Yep, that doesn't divide evenly. The best that we can do, if we want to leave it as an improper fraction, we would have 48 over 11. Otherwise, it is also 4.36 repeating. So that is everything. As usual, go to Schoology. You don't have to do all of these questions, but on Schoology I have marked the ones that I absolutely